And this is one of the most dynamic colleges, I'd like to say, in Southeast Michigan for sure. One of Michigan's largest community colleges with over 9,000 students enrolled, both full-time and part-time, which is kind of an interesting thing that we're going to be talking about as well. But we have several guests we want to introduce you to today. Laurie Kattuah-Snyder is Schoolcraft College Associate Dean of Advertising and Partnership. Rhonda Donovan, Schoolcraft College Hinkle Student Resource Center Coordinator. We have a student with us this morning, Samantha Bleim, and Elizabeth Kenney is the Schoolcraft College Associate Dean of Library and Learning Support Services. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Exciting for you today with the Jazz Fest once again here in Michigan Jazz Fest. Well, we want to talk about the students, and we want to talk about students coming to the school. And let's start with you, Laurie, first. You know, we talk about, obviously, a well-educated workforce. We talk about skill sets that's the only key to driving our economy in Michigan is to have a well-educated workforce. But we got to get the students in the door, right? And get them here and keep them here. But there are often barriers that keep students from entering college. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely right, Marie. So I want to first start out by saying this is not a Schoolcraft problem. These are problems across colleges across the United States. So a barrier is anything that's going to prevent a student to persist in their degree completion or whatever their goal is. So the barriers that we see frequently are financial, life. I just call it one bucket. It's just called life. And then academic, which Elizabeth will be talking about. But a large part of our students are just really struggling, trying to get themselves here, gas money, maintenance on the car, how to deal with demons going on in their head, in their life. There's so many other things going on for our students that are pushing education down their leg. And what we need to do is continue to support them. Like for instance, mental health. We have a free service for all of our students called You Will, and it's 24/7 counseling and mental health support. And that's one way that we're trying to help our students stay in school.
Schools have changed so much in this regard. When I was in college, there was nothing quite like this. But now you make this part of your mission here because you know that in order to keep the students' bodies here in school, you've got to help them with these things that are happening in their lives. Rhonda Donovan, I had the chance to hear you speak at a donors dinner here at Schoolcraft. As our listeners know, my husband and I and my family, we are donors here at Schoolcraft College. We have a scholarship fund here, and we'll talk all about that coming up. I was so inspired to hear you talk about the work that you do here. Tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you, and thank you for being a donor to our students. It means so much to all of us that work with students every day. And like Laurie said, we see all types of barriers. Our office basically serves as the basic needs office here. So while we help students with funding, really the bigger piece of our work every day are the students who reach out to us and they're hurting, they're struggling.
Right,
they're,
for food.
Yes, for food. Food insecurity is a very large issue on our campus. It has almost doubled in about 4 years' time. So we are trying to address that every day, as well as other needs. We have students occasionally that are homeless and they're in their cars and they're reaching out asking, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I stay in school? And you can imagine with those kinds of barriers, even food, a student that's going to go into a test who's hungry. I know of one that was dumpster diving in order to eat before she took an exam. So we see a lot of need among our students. And it's not just about keeping the numbers here and about having the students. Of course, we want them to stay here, but we want them to reach their goals. That's what's going to make the difference in their life. So if we can provide that resource around food, around transportation, around some other need that they are facing, then that's what we're going to do. And that is the mission of our office every day. And a day does not go by that we don't get asked for some resource. And honestly, that has not always been the case. It used to be more requests for funding.
Yeah.
Now it's a request for resource, for help. These students are really struggling, and it's our mission as a team. All of us are on the same team. Every person you're going to hear from today, we want them to stay here, but we want them to know how supported they are, and we're going to do everything within our power to help them.
It's not just staying here, it's the thriving once they, once they're here. And just very quickly to tell, when we established our scholarship fund for our late son here in the culinary program, and we came in, and, we were very uncertain about this road that was ahead of us, and we knew we wanted to do this. And someone here at the school said to us, and I said, we definitely want this scholarship to go to somebody who really needs it. And the person said to me, oh, everyone here needs it. She said, we have students who live in their car. And when she said that to us, we walked out, and I remember, oh, this is it. This is where this is going to happen for us. Because of that very thing, that was a student we wanted to reach here. So a very real thing. Samantha is also joining us. I also heard you speak that very same night at the donors dinner. So tell us about your experience.
So I met Rhonda when I joined PTK. PTK is the International Honor Society amongst community colleges, and it stands for Phi Theta Kappa. I became an officer for our chapter and started doing a mental health project to broaden the awareness of the resources like the Hinkle Center, our mental health services. And it became very obvious that none of my other officers were aware of these resources, and that's why it was so prevalent to us to do a project like this. And it wasn't until like the middle of this project I started experiencing my own struggles with finances and food and all sorts of stuff that was unfortunate. And I was just so grateful that I was in a position that I was already so close to Rhonda and our mental health provider, Annalise, and Todd, who runs our student activities office, and all these people who could help kind of guide me through this a little bit. And, it's one thing to be an advocate who just wants to help people, but I think it really, I really knew that this is what I want to do for a career someday, because when I was walking out of our food pantry, I felt that embarrassment that you always tell people, you should never feel this way when you're asking for help, but that's what these resources are here for. But then it's so different when you're on the other end of it and you find yourself trying to like scurry through the student activities center because you don't want anyone to see you with your bags of food that are there for students to use. So that was kind of like the pivot moment where I was like, this is so much more important to me than it was before.
Right.
Just because now I really understand. And I mean, my situation, thankfully, although still I needed that support, it could have been much worse. So I can only imagine what it's like for these other students that Rhonda has to, or has the privilege of helping every day.
Right. And thanks to that, though, you were able to continue what is, a very successful academic career, which is really what we're here for. So this was the key for you. This was absolutely. Elizabeth Kenney is the Schoolcraft College Associate Dean of Library and Learning Support Services. And of course, academics, these are all here to support academics.
Yes.
You want students to be successful. You want them to be like Samantha, where they're really being successful in the classroom. So jump a little bit on support services.
Absolutely, and it's so fitting that Samantha spoke right before me because she's actually one of our tutors in the Learning Center. So we are absolutely here to support students in all facets of life, including the academic piece. Our team is located in the Bridger Library, which is open to the public. We also warmly welcome the public to visit us at the library. We have academic coaching, tutoring, as I mentioned, and we also have supplemental instruction. One program I'm really excited to talk about today is our Step Ahead Summer Bridge program. That is a summer program that is dedicated to supporting first-time in college students.
And you have a lot of those.
Yes, we do, absolutely, and returning students as well. So this program warmly welcomes those students. We have 4 student success days happening July 22nd, July 30th, and August 10th. And if students attend one of those days and then take the qualifying course, they're eligible for scholarship in the fall semester. At those student success days, they will have the chance to learn about AI literacy, about English and math prep, and about getting situated here at Schoolcraft and at college. We actually have Rhonda Donovan coming to speak to our students on that day. And again, we warmly welcome any first-time in college students and any returning students who want to get settled for that first semester.
Wonderful program, absolutely. So you're kind of getting all the notes here. That's fitting. Yes, that's. You really do make an effort to hit all those aspects of student life. When I was in college, it was always, just skip class and can I, am I going to pass that test? But today it's just life is more complicated and therefore the students' lives are more complicated who come here. Laurie Kattuah-Snyder, Schoolcraft College Associate Dean of Advising and Partnerships. Rhonda Donovan, Schoolcraft College Hinkle Student Resource Center Coordinator. Samantha Bleim is our student. I apologize. I meant to ask you before we went on the air. Samantha Bleim. Elizabeth Kenney, Schoolcraft College Associate Dean of Library and Learning Support Services. Awesome work you're doing here at Schoolcraft.
Thank you.
And we will continue here on WJR.